During his rally in Wisconsin this past weekend, Donald Trump started talking about his proposal to engage in mass deportations here in the United States as soon as he comes into office, right? Like day one, after, of course, he pardons the Capitol rioters, mass deportations up to 25 million people in a move that economists and even plenty of Republican pundits tell us would devastate the United States economy. But during this little diatribe about how he's going to engage in mass deportations, Donald Trump took a bit of a detour, still on the immigration issue. But he mentioned that it would be a bloody story when we start engaging in these deportations. And he did it using a story that has been debunked about migrants taking over a Colorado apartment complex, which of course Donald Trump blew way out of proportion compared to what has already been debunked. But either way, here is Donald Trump telling us about this bloody story that he says at this point is basically inevitable. Here he is.
They are radicals headed up by a radical governor in Colorado that has no clue how to solve this influx of crime into his state. And by the way, Colorado's one state. It's much worse in other states. But in Colorado, they've taken over. I mean, in Colorado, they're so brazen, they're taking over sections of the state. And, you know, getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. Nobody checked them. Nobody checked. Were they criminals? Were they from jails? We have them pouring out from jails. We have the worst criminals in all of these countries. 168 so far are registered, 168 countries. They're in our country, and they said, if you come back, you will be executed, you will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
So, a lot to unpack there. First of all, let's deal with the issue of the Colorado apartment complex that has, of course, been taken over by these Venezuelan migrants, not letting anybody in or out. It's a total war zone. Except it's not. This, of course, is the talking point that has been pushed by the right-wing mayor of Aurora, Colorado. It has not been verified. In fact, some of the people that live there have even said, yeah, that's not true. The problem is we're having a dispute with the landlord over improvements to the property that need to be made so that we're safe. So there's been lots of conflicting reports, but so far it does appear that this story has been mostly debunked. However, Trump wasn't just talking about migrants taking over an apartment complex. So regardless of whether that story is accurate, which again, reports suggest it is not, or if it's inaccurate, Donald Trump didn't even say that. He said that they have taken over parts of the state. Okay, an apartment complex, while part of the state, is not a portion of the state, as Donald Trump claimed in that little diatribe. He is trying to convince these Wisconsin voters that these migrants have somehow taken over large parts of Colorado, right? And it will be a bloody story to get them out. A bloody story, but he says we've got to do it. We all know what bloody means. Donald Trump is talking about sending in federal agents, not just in Colorado, but anywhere where there's larger groups or populations of migrants, and sending in federal agents, guns blazing, to get them out of the United States. That's what he'll do. It will be a massacre here in the United States, and Donald Trump is confirming that it will be a massacre, and he doesn't care. We have to do it, he says. Anyone out there that has a shred of humanity in them has to vote against this guy. This is inhumane. This is xenophobic. But this is who he is. He is using migrants, these people who, by the way, again, our economy depends on them, using them as political props. He will use them as fodder for these federal agents to go in there to remove, and then he will use the images of that as campaign fuel for the future. And I know you're saying, well, it's his second term, he can't run again. Okay. He tried to overthrow the government once. Don't put it past him to do it again. So I'm not ruling out Donald Trump being dictator for life, longer, of course, than day one. But he's telling us people will die. And we just have to accept that. And the response, of course, is no, the hell we don't. And we're not going to vote for a man who's basically promising us bloodshed on our own soil. That kind of seems like a no-brainer, but apparently there's plenty of no-brainers in this country who think that's a good idea. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.